I am born and raised Miami, Florida, and
what part?
So I'm from Westchester, so it's right next to FIU South. So I was raised in the suburbs of Miami. There was one time where my wife and I went back to Miami with not staying at grandma's house. So we stayed at a hotel, and then not borrowing my dad's car.
How did that go?
Rented a car, and we stayed in Ocean Avenue. And
you were a tourist,
full on tourist, and all I was thinking about was like, what have I been missing all my life? And my wife was like, "This is how you grew up." I was like, "Yeah."
You're like, sure.
Yeah. Like, oh my God, the water's so blue. No, the water was murky when I was I don't know how this happened. But yeah, no, I'm from Miami, and it was just great to be part of a show finally that was set in Miami and celebrated Miami. I consider myself so lucky for that to happen.
So tell us about your experience with filming an all Latino cast. In Puerto Rico.
Listen, I gotta be honest. It was, not to sound so unprofessional, a party all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, like in between takes, whenever we felt like we nailed the take, it was festive. And it was very supportive for each other, because the idea was to highlight the culture, not highlight individual characters. The individual characters are part of the culture, vice versa. And we were just very, very happy to and just so blown away that we were in this together. And then working with 99% of the crew that were, Hispanic. I say Hispanic, so no offense to anybody, but who were Hispanic. It was, again, one of those things where we were all part of a team together, and everybody was there to tell a story. From the dolly to the grip to the light to the sound, everybody was there just for the story, because we were so proud of it. And that's why it was really, really special to be working with an all Latin cast and an all Latin crew as well. And the other thing was just the ad-libs were hilarious, because we would also ad-lib in Spanish all the time. And, I remember that, Lisa would always come up to me, Lisa Vidal, who plays my mom, Mari, would say, are you okay? After this, a scene where Mateo would just act up, and she would slap him. I was like, you slap me exactly like my mother. So don't you change a thing. We need to keep that, So it was really special.
Actually mentioned that.
Yeah, she said it was weird because
is that right?
Yeah, she said you were all similar to her own children, like the personalities even. So it was
she was very similar to my mother, very very similar to my mother. Yeah, no, and that was the other thing about the cast, which was just the specific cast. It was unreal how much we were already a family by the time we went out to the first dinner in Puerto Rico. It was unreal, or in Atlanta where we shot the pilot. It was unreal how much we vibed. And we were talking about each other's families. I would tell them about my childhood, and they would tell me about theirs and all stuff. I mean, it was real kismet, and everybody working together in harmony and in fiery passion.
You guys shot for 5 months. It's a big chunk of the year.
Yeah.
Want to know what kind of strains, if any, does that put on a married man?
You have a little kid, don't you?
No. Well, if you count my French bulldog as my little kid, who I'm obsessed with.
That is a kid.
Yeah, no. So it's funny. My wife and I made the conscious decision this time, and based on how it was, probably every time we were there together the whole time. I have such a supportive wife, and she came along with me, and we just established a home, and the idea of all the victories that we had together as a married couple, as well as all the stress, we were having it as a married couple together on the island. And I found that absolutely important. And she left 2 weeks before wrap. And I was like, oh, we're going to need this break. And then after 2-3 days, I'm like, so can you come back, please? It was just it was unreal. And I just think that the strain from being away from just your physical home is that, you're just in this oasis of just not can't pinpoint where you are, and there's a little bit of that confusion where when you're away for so long, you try to make a home, but it's not. You know what I mean? And then when it's not a home, then you can kind of get stressed, or you can kind of just go with the flow. But again, I had home with me, so I was very, very, very lucky. And I think that that's going to happen for a while.
That's awesome.
You know, when she books a job, you know, I'll be the first one there, ready to support her in any way I can, the way that she supported me.
You guys, well, we've been told you guys became like a family in real life. You're soon to be an uncle with the Victor situation, right?
That's right. That's right. No, yeah. I mean, he's, you know, it's going to be I'm so proud of him and Alex, and they're just going to be amazing parents, and I just can't wait to meet the kid. So it's going to be really nice.
Do you know why creators chose to film in Puerto Rico instead of Miami?
I think Puerto Rico gave the essence of, you know, a tropical America the same way that Miami gives, you know, and I think that when it comes to shooting by the beaches and shooting by these landmarks, there's just this you know, fire and color about it that not only we can shape, but kind of live in the same way that Miami has its vibrancy and has its color and has its culture. And it just worked out. It just worked out. You know, I also think like shooting in Miami, you have a pickup shot just across the street on Ocean Drive. That's like $900 million right there. You know what I mean? But it really did work out. It did work out.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
Always as an actor, when you're in something, do you ever have to kind of separate yourself from being like a producer and director? When
not really. That's a good question. Not really. Only because, you know, you listen in all cylinders. Yeah. You know what I mean? When it comes to acting, my job there is to live truthfully through the lens and through the view of the director's point of view, with putting my own emotional intelligence on top of it. The thing is I would give you the same answer if I was producing or directing. And so the idea of switching hats has never been a problem for me, because, you know, I'm there to help. So if a director is telling me and giving me his or her a way of communicating, I know where they're coming from, and I think just behind, like for example, like if I'm the actor and I see that they're kind of talking to me in a way of like trying to calm me down, like, Papa, you don't have to calm me down. Like, I'm fine. You and I are here together. It's fine. You know what I mean? We're good. I know what you're trying to do, but I'm here. You know what I mean? If you need to say that was a bad take, tell me that was a bad take, and I would understand it more so than not. And then, you know, again, I would go to the director and would communicate to him or her, what do you want, listening as a director, you know, and I don't think there's so much of a difference for that. I mean, when I'm a producer, I produced it's in post-production now, but a feature film about vampires, starring my wife and Manolo Vergara, Sophia's son. And it was a very, very cheap thing, but the only difference when I was a producer is I am in the car all day, getting people's lunch, getting people's waters, I mean, that's the only
What's
difference. It's called The Big Feed, and hopefully we'll be releasing in October.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll direct an episode.
You know, hopefully, you know, you never know, but to direct a cast like this is to be in a party. So that's and I hope that exudes on screen as well, you know. So yeah, I'm excited for it.
Carlos and Lisa both mentioned that if they felt that at any point this was a cheap facsimile of what it's like to be a Latino family or just Hispanic origin, if you don't come across as genuine, they would have easily walked away from it. I want to know, if 9 episodes now, do you feel you guys did a good job in portraying that nuance, that idiosyncrasy?
Listen, I all I know is that when we were doing the scenes at the moment, we were being genuine to each other. You know what I mean? There's a lot of aspects that go into a simple frame, right? You got lighting, you got music, you got editing, you got coloring, you got all these things with it, and one can never know how it might come off. But all I know is that in the moment, while doing scenes, we were there for each other, and we were there for the story in a very, very genuine way, I think. And again, the image is much bigger than a romantic comedy or a romantic dramedy, I would say. It's much, much bigger than that. And what it's about is a representation of a culture that's not represented in TV and film. And the only way that we cannot squeeze that juice is not to make it so on the nose. We are characters living in Miami, living in this thing. We can do the same story if it was any other culture. The way that I looked at it is it just happened to be Cuban, luckily to be Cuban in my case, but it just happened to be Cuban. We don't have to. I feel like the more the conversation happens, the more it becomes a fad, and it's not a fad. It's a real thing that's around us all the time. And the more we put the fad on it, I'm over it. I'm over it.
So how much DJing did you actually do?
Sorry?
How much DJ work did you actually do?
You know, it's funny. So it's funny. When I go to a concert, I don't like watching DJs because what's amazing seeing them just turning stuff, pressing buttons, and I'm just like, I just want to see Jack White on a guitar, you know what I mean? Like that's what I would like to see as entertainment. But boy, was I wrong after my my training session with this fabulous DJ, and he was talking to me about timing. He was talking to me about the mood of the room. He was talking about that you are the conductor of the mood of the room. You know what I mean? Not everyone wants to do the electric slide. You know what I mean? Not everyone wants to do the right, exactly. And not everyone wants to do the Macarena. And not everybody wants Lady Gaga. Not everybody wants Ricky Bobby. You know what I mean? I mean, it's the idea of reading a room, and then also everything being so technical with the BPMs and the beats per minute, just, and then listening to a song that's about to come and trying to match. I mean, it is a puzzle. So to answer your question, not a lot, but I did learn a lot. I did very, very, very much learn a lot.
What about baking?
So here's the thing. I'm a method actor, okay? And I was playing a baker's son. So I had to do what I had to do for the character to eat as much pastries as I can. We had a real great consultant and trainer.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
I'll talk to you in a second. That was weird. Because her name is not Siri.
Or consultant.
Or pastry, which is very strange.
Really into baking.
They're on to me. The hell's the oh, okay. So we had a great pastry chef, and his name was Carlos, and he worked in this bakery called El Horno, and in Puerto Rico, and all science. I mean, it wasn't like going to a master chef kitchen and kind of going like, let's see what I can do with this. No, it's so delicious within its simplicity, and it's not really simple. It's just once you kind of stick to the ingredients, you're still going to get as much satisfaction to whatever pastry, and baking was important. Baking was important because we really wanted to express the beauty of what happens to all these pastries, because the idea of the passion that you put into your work is also reflective of who you are. And I think that that was really important for us to kind of put as much baking into the show as we can. And I think we definitely did it.
So you're a baker now?
Yeah. I am done with toasters and Eggos. This is me fully baking man. And my wife's a chef, so at least I can do the baking part as well.
Balance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Eclairs and flan, right?
Eclairs and flan, baby. Ooh.
Yeah, Carlos said he can make a flan now.
Yes.
Yeah. And there was even a moment. Oh my gosh! And I'm telling you, there was this thing called Magnificos, where it was like this pastry that was like shaped as a rose, but the petals were thin slices of apple, and it was all caramelized. Oh my! I wanted the day to end so badly so we can eat it, and it was so worth it, so worth it. And also just being in Puerto Rico too, about the eating too. I was like, oh my gosh, I thought I was gonna go and do so well. I was gonna do so well, but I came back like 40 pounds heavier, and I have no shame in the game. So, and God bless Puerto Rico for that too.
Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I do. So I have 2 sisters and 1 brother. They're all artists. I mean, like my younger sister just turned 5. So I guess you can call her an artist because she's wild. And that I can kind of like, thank me for. But yeah, my sister is in the industry as well, and then my brother is in the industry as well. And we're just a big artist family.
So you felt right at home with the whole sibling dynamic on the show as well?
It's funny that you asked that. I when we were first starting out with these characters and talking about the script and stuff, the one thing I really, really wanted to come across is what is family if not always a ticking time bomb? That we love each other in 1 second and then snap, we will lovingly scream at each other, pick on each other, hit each other, whatever, you know what I mean? And in a Latin family, that is what it was growing up, and what was really important to us is complexity in the dynamics, and make it specific in the dynamics as well, where we can be in the dinner table and say I love you and I hate you like 2 seconds later, because that's what family is. And so so I really wanted to speak to Dean, the creator, about it in terms of like, I just want it to be known that yes, it is a show that you can watch where you can just take a breath and just have a sigh of relief. This isn't the show where, they look in the camera and goes, well, he didn't make it. And then it goes to black. And then, it's TikTok explosions. And on the next, shit gets real. What it is that after you see the show, you're like, that's exactly, I needed that right now. Just a little breath of fresh air. And because it's so light, and sweet, that doesn't mean that we wanted to step away from how complex and how ridiculously complicated families are, which they are.
We spoke to Lisa also about you being a director and producer yourself, how the casting of the actors actually makes you, they really seem like they...
So sorry.
Can we start that again? Start from the top.
So sorry.
Casting is so well done in this show, because you guys really look like you could be actual relatives.
Sarah Isaacson. That's all I got to say. 2 words. Sarah Isaacson, casting director. Just so blessed for her ideas in casting. Now I'll just say my little tidbit here. I came in for Daniel, Victor's part, and Sarah and I were absolutely vibing, and like the good casting director she is, she let me do the whole thing even though she knew I was wrong for it. And she said, that was really great. I'm going to bring you back next week or in 2 weeks in front of the director and producer. I was like, as Daniel, okay. I'm the romantic lead. And she said, no, for Mateo, the more goofy one. I was like, oh, that sounds a little bit more on point. And so, so just kudos to her that she just picked it up at that moment and just, she wasn't even thinking always about the individual, and I give a lot of credit to her and Dean and Becky Hartman Edwards and Rachel Kaplan and all these people, and David Frankel. They were thinking about the family dynamic. That was the one thing that they were concentrating on, and entirely about doing chemistry reads. They just knew that the mesh of the individuals together, putting all our headshots together and saying, he brings this, she brings this. Let's see how that continues to work. I don't know how they do it. Listen, Scorsese says that 80% of his job is casting, and it's that seemed to have been true here, not because of talent, but just because of chemistry that was happening on screen.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I think when you do, because obviously, like just from seeing you guys interact, there's a bond there, and I think that always transcends onto reads through the screen.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a common thing always.
Yeah, well, I hope so. I mean, when we were doing a press junket in Atlanta, they were doing one by one on the carpet or whatever, and every time an individual person was there from our cast, we were like, "Yes, Queen! Yes, get it, yes!" And then we were all just playing or whatever, and then someone from next door would come around and go, "Could you shut the just be quiet, please," and then what we decided to do when we were shut up, but then the next person and we go, it does come on screen. I think from the limited episodes that I've seen, episode 1, 2, and 3. It explodes on the screen. It explodes on the screen, and we're not. And I don't want to push an audience to invite them into our family. What I want and what I hope that audiences get is that they already know who we are a little bit, because we know who we are a little bit to each other. Again, we're playing a family, right? So by the first frame, my character's 26. That's 26 years of finishing each other's sentences, knowing what we're going to do and all that stuff. That's really important that we had to really work on it. But it wasn't even work. Like I said, it was a party. It was an absolute party.
And you're still at home with your parents, and that's so lucky.
So Miami. So Miami too, but and yes, that is true. I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends and family. That's for sure. That's the case. But the other thing is too. I went to college in New York, 1-bedroom apartment. First year, amazing because I was there by myself. Second year, stressful, not that amazing, but absolutely beautiful because my brother and 2 other cousins moved in, and so it was the 4 of us in a 1-bedroom apartment, circling around who gets the bed, the futon, the floor, and just continuing to circle and continuing to circle. The best freaking time I've ever had.
Where did you go to college?
So I went to the New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts. They, wanted to change the name to make it sound a little bit better because our school back then, when I went there, was called the School for Film and Television. Right there, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do, which was film and television. I think I'll go there. That said, the one with the banner that says School for Film and Television, and best decision I ever made. I had met my mentor from there, and last year I had the opportunity to direct 31 demo reels for my alma mater. What the school does is that they want to give you tools, literal tools, to show casting directors and agents and managers, this is how I look on screen. I don't have to pitch you that I'm a good actor. Here's what I can show you. And I had a real pleasure to direct so many actors back then, and it was just so funny too, because they're like, what can I expect? I'm like, nothing you're learning, because it's a whole different game. You're not going to see your training on screen, so don't you dare show any Meisner or any Stanislavski. We don't want to see that stuff. We just want to see people in the moment reacting and making sure it's being it's affecting them. And as a graduate from there, I forget that a lot of the times as well. You know what I mean? Where I kind of just need to recharge and kind of go, oh, wait a minute. I'm listening. That's right. I'm listening. That's right. I'm reacting. That's right. Yeah, I don't know what the next line is. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, time for one more question. Sorry.
Sure. Now that you mentioned that you shot 31?
Yeah. 31 students.
Did you see anyone that actually looked like they got it? Yeah,
absolutely. It's it's tough to take. For the people who you might be thinking the opposite end, I never thought of that. Of they're not going to make it or not. What I cared about was if I'm casting a movie and I see that same kid, the one thing that I will remember is how well they took direction. And it was just all the director needs sometimes, where it's just like I can just remember that what is your training in this school that has you to listen to the director and kind of translate that to your skill. You know what I mean? And that was mind-blowing to me, just to see from where we started to where we ended up and where their reels are, and what their reels became, how far they come in terms of being working actors on a set as opposed to a student looking at me as the graduate. That I would come up to them and go, faster. And they wouldn't get into their minds going, well, what does faster mean? What does faster mean? You know how all actors, kind of get a little bit. No, they just went faster. This is exactly what I asked for. That kind of thing. And that was their understanding of that was mind-blowing to me, and I'm very proud of each and every one of them.
Fantastic. That's awesome.
David, have you thought of doing comedy? You're so funny.
Maybe I just did. We'll see.
You were with George Lopez.
I did, and that was quite an amazing experience. I mean, I still call him El Maestro to this day. But stand-up comedy scares the crap out of me. I respect everybody who does that. I would just. I like just playing characters, because characters come, even though it's comedy, it comes from a real place, and that's where I like to kind of discover a little bit more.
Do you like directing more, producing, or being an actor?
I like all of them. I don't think that I'm telling a story one way or another. I'm helping like-minded artists tell a story one way or another, and even if I'm directing an actor, my 2 features that I directed purposely I did not act in, because I'm still not very confident in that yet, but I feel like I'm acting through them. I feel like when I'm looking at the screen and they're doing what I'm directing, I feel like I'm feeling what they're feeling. Therefore, I felt like I've acted in those scenes as well. So there really is no difference for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Guys, thank you so much.